Hi, welcome to this video. My name is Boski Savla. I'm a product marketing manager within VMware. Today we're going to talk about VMware Kubernetes Engine and smart clusters. VMware Kubernetes Engine is a SaaS offering from VMware that allows developers and IT operators to consume Kubernetes clusters as a service. Now, specifically, VMware Kubernetes Engine offers smart clusters. So what are these smart clusters? Let's talk about them. Now, VMware Kubernetes Engine, or VKE, runs on a public cloud. It's multi-cloud enabled. So when a developer comes in and wants to deploy applications taking care of a Kubernetes cluster, the first thing that they do is they, go to the VKE API or UI and ask for a cluster. And that's a smart cluster that we are talking about. Now, what do we really mean by that? As developers start coming in and they go to the VKE API or a UI, they are going to request for a cluster that's in a specific public cloud. Let's say this is AWS, for example, and they're going to say, okay, I want my cluster to be in a specific region, and that's about it, and the name of the cluster. Now, once you have the region and the name of the cluster, VMware Kubernetes Engine takes over at this point. It really doesn't want the developer to worry about what would be the cluster size, how many worker nodes do you need, how many master nodes do you need, etc. It just takes care of everything from that point onward, including what instance to provision to make optimal use of resources. So at that point, but depending on the region, VMware Kubernetes Engine will talk to that public cloud IaaS endpoint and select the specific region the developer had requested and start building the cluster. The way it does is every Kubernetes production cluster is deployed across multiple availability zones within that region. So let's say we have within that region, for that public cloud, we have 3 different availability zones. This is availability zone A, this is availability zone B, and this is an availability zone C. What VMware Kubernetes Engine will do at that point is start deploying master nodes. So, and it will place each master node into each availability zone. So we get some master node for the cluster in each zone. Now that's as simple as that. VMware Kubernetes Engine will then give back the developer the API endpoint to talk to this cluster. Now, at the start of a smart cluster, there are no worker nodes provisioned. This is intentional, and the reason for this is as soon as a cluster is created, we don't start provisioning worker nodes until a workload is deployed. Now, let's say this developer starts deploying workloads or applications. And they can do this using native kubectl commands because VKE will give them back the kubectl credentials to log into the cluster. As developer starts deploying application, VMware Kubernetes Engine will start provisioning worker nodes across availability zones. Now, it will provision worker nodes as needed, which means, let's say in my app only needs a single worker node that has a specific CPU and memory limit. Depending upon the YAML file that you specified for that application, it detects the worker instances needed to provision, and it only will provision that many worker instances. Now, let's say another worker, an application comes in that needs a little bit more space than the worker node that's already deployed. VKE will automatically provision another worker node for you, and it will place the worker node in a different availability zone and kind of go round robin in the placement of the worker nodes. So that way, application developers need not worry about the size of the cluster, what operating system do I need, how many worker nodes do I need, how many master nodes do I need, do I have high availability involved within VMware Kubernetes engine or the cluster that I'm deploying. All of that is taken care of. Now, let's say the developers start deploying applications. We have the worker nodes and master nodes working for them. Then, as more and more applications get deployed, we keep increasing the worker node. But what happens when, a specific task is done and then the apps don't need as much space? So what VKE does, it constantly monitors the pods that are deployed within the K8 scheduler. It will keep monitoring the K8 scheduler for the instances that are deployed, the pods that are deployed within each worker node. Every 10 minutes or so, it will keep checking whether the load across all these worker nodes are equally distributed. If not, what VMware Kubernetes engine will do is it will reprovision the pods to another worker node and will deinstall a specific worker node. That way, the cluster is automatically scaling out and scaling in depending upon the workload that the cluster has. And all of this is transparent to the developer. The developer is not really thinking about any of this. This is all automatically done for the developer by VKE. Now, once the apps are deployed, we also are scaling them accordingly. Now, another instance of Kubernetes version comes up and the developer wants to upgrade their cluster to that specific version. So we want to now upgrade. VKE will actually take care of the upgrade for the developer in a rolling fashion for all the master and worker nodes deployed for that cluster. What VKE will do at this point in time is, let's say you have a K8 cluster that has version 1.9 for each of the nodes in it, and the developer wants to upgrade these to 1.10. VKE will start upgrading or applying those upgrades in a rolling fashion. It will first take out this master node and create a new one that is 1.10 version, join that worker master node to the cluster, make sure that all the clusters are in a good state, and then move on to the second master. Similarly, it will, once this master is active, it will delete this one and upgrade this one to a newer version. At all points while doing this upgrade process, it will make sure all the etcd nodes are backed up before doing any upgrade. Once the upgrade has done within the master nodes and all the master nodes have been upgraded to version 1.10, it will start doing that similarly for worker nodes to be upgraded to another or the newer version. Now, at any point in time, let's say the upgrade fails for some reason, VKE will actually roll back all the instances to the original version of the Kubernetes cluster and restore the backup in case something was lost. So all the upgrades and everything is taken care within the SmartCluster. So that's about SmartClusters today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.